Hi there, welcome. My name is Charlotte. Thank you so much for stopping on this video. This is my first video on YouTube. It's not actually the first video that I've filmed because I will admit I have done multiple attempts at this video, and I was just never happy with the way it came out. I'm still getting used to talking in front of a camera, to knowing how close to put my face and how to do my lighting setup. And I also felt pressure to put up a sort of intro video where I tell you all about myself and the ethos of my channel and what I'm hoping to do. And I realized that that wasn't really realistic. That was a lot of pressure, and I'd rather just sort of get into it and hopefully just let those things come up. I will tell you that I love colorful and sparkly makeup, and I'm also interested in anti-consumerist approaches to makeup, to thinking critically about consumption. And there's so much amazing creative anti-consumerist beauty content out here already on the internet. And yeah, I'm interested in taking part in that conversation. And I'm also interested in making room to talk about capitalism within that conversation, and to sort of name that this is the system that we're talking about when we talk about the anxieties and the problems that makeup and the makeup community has with consumption and overconsumption. And a lot of us come here from a place of having overconsumed to the point of perhaps mental health problems, financial problems. But at the end of the day, it's not really an us problem if the system is designed to be that way. So I sometimes feel anxiety about my love of makeup and what that says about my relationship to capitalism, and whether I'm involved in a way that I don't want to be involved. But I think it shouldn't have to be that way. And so on this channel, I'm hoping to talk about beautiful makeup without pushing consumption, without normalizing overconsumption, and also in a way that makes space to criticize capitalism at the same time without putting too much shame on us as individuals. I'm hoping to talk about this a lot more in future videos, hopefully in a much more organized way. You can probably tell why I failed at this video so many times, because I get in the weeds really quickly. I have been on Instagram for a little under a year now, and I found that on that platform, I was sort of getting bogged down by the need for perfection and like a short form, video, or a still photograph is even worse. And I was so anxious about, my blending not being perfect, the shape not being perfect, the shot not being perfect, because I actually suck at photography also. So I realized that I think a long form platform is more for me, is going to allow me to talk about more of the things I want to talk about. And it also like takes a lot of pressure off of every second being perfect, because you get more seconds, right? So in talking about my favorite makeup today, I am going to be talking about specific products. As you can tell from my very long rambly intro, I have anxiety about that, and I haven't totally reconciled in my mind the sort of tendency to talk about brands and products when we're talking about makeup. It's really hard to avoid that. And I'm not even sure that I want to avoid that. It's definitely a part of the conversation. And the items that I'm going to show you are, they're formulas I like, they're brands I like. A lot of them I like because, they're a good value. But I do hope for the focus on this channel to be more on appreciation rather than, purchasing and consuming. And like, you need to go out and buy this specific thing. And I also partly just want to introduce today the kind of makeup I like, the kind of makeup looks I like to do, and like what you can expect to see more of here on my channel. So I'm going to start with base makeup. I'm not a huge primer person, but I do love this e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I don't really use it as a primer. I use it more as like a full face base product, particularly on days when I want just like a little bit of evening of my skin tone. but I don't plan to do like a ton of shaping with like blush and bronzer and stuff like that. And in general, I really like, you know, a light coverage, really glowy base. I am wearing most of these on my face today. I sort of treated it as like a shop my stash for my favorite makeup, so this is kind of like a favorite face, like a full face of my favorite makeup. However, I'm not wearing this one today because I wanted to also show you my favorite highlighter, and together they would be a whole lot. So also in the category of light coverage glowy complexion makeup, this is the Pretty Fresh tinted moisturizer from ColourPop. This was the first base product that I started wearing regularly back in 2020, and this is the same shade that I used to wear. And I just really lucked out on choosing a product and shade that really worked for my needs. Um, yeah, and I just kind of use this on my cheeks. I just, you know, get a little bit of evening from this. It really isn't a crazy amount of coverage. And I usually use some concealer to boost up the coverage on my cheeks where I have, you know, freckles and like a little bit of unevenness in my skin tone. But overall, like, you know, I like to be able to see my skin through my makeup. I just want to create like an even canvas. My favorite concealer is this NYX Concealer Serum. I'm actually not wearing this today because this shade doesn't work for me in the summer, so I've been switching to something else for these months where I'm a little bit more tan. But I just really love the finish of this concealer, and I'm including it here because it was the first concealer that really worked for me, and I didn't discover it until last fall, but I was just really at my wit's end with concealers, and I thought at the time that they just weren't going to work for me because they would always cake up under my eyes and just make my skin look like 10 times worse. And I felt like I had tried a lot of concealers, and I was planning to basically splurge on like a $50 like luxury concealer just as like a last ditch attempt to see if any concealer would work on me. And this was like my last resort before doing that. And I'm really glad I did because this is only $11 and it really did the trick for me. So moving on to highlighter, this is the Wet n Wild Loose Megaglo highlighter, I think, in the shade I'm So Lit. This is like a really, really pretty dramatic highlighter. I use it quite sparingly, and I don't use it every day because it's a loose highlighter and it's a little bit messy. But I just really love the sheen of this. It's really beautiful, like wet, hydrated look. And I actually use this on my lids all the time, like if I'm going to be wearing just a simple wing or no eyeshadow at all. I think it just really gives you that hydrated glow, that sort of healthy look to your skin that I really love. So while this is like a really basic shade that you definitely have in your collection if you have a similar skin tone to mine, I don't know, something about this sheen makes it feel special to me and I get a lot of joy from it. Okay, one of my all-time favorite blushes is actually a lipstick. This is the ColourPop cream lipstick in the shade Layover. And this is another holy grail product that I've been using for many years. It's been my Lips But Better shade for a long time. But recently I've actually preferred using it on my cheeks to using it on my lips. And, you know, because it was my Lips But Better shade, I think it really suits my complexion well. It's like a brownish nude rose color, and it's just pretty effortless as a blush. Okay, for eyeshadows, one of my favorites recently has been this shade Gabriel from Oden's Eye. This is from the Jewel Shine collection, and it's just a regular shimmer, but it's super dimensional. And it's also pretty sparkly on the eyes. I don't think this comes through necessarily in the swatch, but this just feels like a really special, beautiful formula, and it's in a color that I really love. Green is my favorite color, and I think that this shade of olive green is quite flattering for my complexion, and I just always feel really good when I'm wearing this eyeshadow. My current favorite eyeshadow palette is the Beauty Bay 42 Earthy palette. I have depotted mine, but you can see from the square pans with the bees in them that this makes up the vast majority of my collection of green eyeshadows, and I love green eyeshadow. Um, yeah, this palette has just such gorgeous nuances of green, all kinds of greens you could hope for. It also has a lot of beautiful neutral shades, particularly golds and bronze shades. Again, so many undertones of nuance. The shimmer formula on this is really beautiful as well. So today I'm wearing Gabriel all over the lid, and then I have shades, matte shades from the Earthy palette, just blending that out. And I used this beautiful shade Ray in the inner corner. This is like pretty much a sheer base with a greenish, goldish flip and like really, really beautiful sparkle shimmer. Okay, this guy is kind of absurd. This is the Charlotte Tilbury cream eyeshadow in the shade Oyster Pearl. This is definitely the bougiest makeup item that I own. And I was honestly pretty disappointed when I first swatched this. I bought it prior to swatching it, so I got it in the mail, swatched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the most boring eyeshadow. It was like, it's like a satin finish almost, like I expected it to be more sparkly. It was stupid. I know more about Charlotte Tilbury now and would not have expected to be sparkly. But I have to say, this actually looks so flattering on the eyes. It's really smoothing. It almost feels like concealer for my eyes. Like I can contour with it, but I can also sort of almost correct imperfections on my eyes, like in my eye texture, which, you know, in my experience, usually makeup makes your skin texture look worse, not better. Usually, like, that's the compromise that I make anyway to get, you know, pretty sparkly things on my face. But this is like, no, there's no compromise. Like, this makes your skin look better. But it's not the most sparkly, impressive formula ever. So while this is gorgeous all over the lid, what I actually mainly use it for is just the lower lash line, to contour the lower lash line in a way that looks, you know, satin, a little sheen, like really hydrated and healthy, and flattering. So I'm getting my money's worth out of this eyeshadow. It feels ridiculous to use it that way because it's so nice on the lid, but I use it like almost every day and it's like adding value in most of my makeup looks. So I had to include it in my list of favorites, even though it sort of doesn't always fit in with the rest of the makeup I use and wear. So for lips, there were a lot of items that I could have chosen as a favorite, but I wanted to choose something that would go with this look in keeping with sort of the Shop My Stash theme. So I went with this Elf Sheer Slick lipstick in the shade Golden Pear. Now, I admit I did a sort of silly thing and I paid an upcharge for this on Amazon after it was discontinued because I was influenced by Hannah-Louise Poston, who recommended this, and the color just looked so, you know, close to the things I love. And I do adore this shade. It's really flattering on my skin tone, it's beautiful, but I also recognize that it's, you know, pretty basic. I could have gotten this shade and formula probably from a different brand and quite probably from a different product at e.l.f. But I paid a small upcharge for it on Amazon instead because of sort of the frenzy that I felt. But, you know, net, I don't regret it because I really do love this shade. I also love the name Golden Pear. I think pear isn't necessarily the first fruit that I would think of when naming a lipstick or even necessarily when looking at this color. But I find Golden Pear like a really evocative name, and it just adds to the beauty of this lipstick for me. I wear this all the time, love it. So it's definitely one of my favorites. Now, I don't really have a favorite mascara. I do really like the Essence like Lash Princess mascaras. They're just sort of old reliables for me. But what I can tell you about my favorites when it comes to mascara is this wand. It's a silicone type wand from another Essence mascara, which I think is called You Better Work. It's my favorite. I've been using this wand. I've been washing it and reusing it in different mascara tubes for years, for like at least 2 years, I want to say. And it makes every mascara formula better. I think that like finding a wand that works for you is really half the battle when it comes to finding a holy grail mascara. So if you have a mascara where you really like the wand, pull it out, wash it, and there's a good chance that it will fit in other mascara tubes. I find that a lot of the Essence ones are interchangeable because the tubes are the same size. Not all of them, but I've also used this spoolie with other brands of mascara, and I just get rid of the original spoolie for this, or I wash it and use it just as a clean spoolie. Then I just put this in and keep it that way until the mascara is sort of dead, and then I'll wash it and put it in my next tube. So while I'm not loyal to any particular mascara, I am definitely loyal to my favorite mascara wand. So that does it for my favorite makeup and for the makeup look that I shop my stash for. Overall, I just like my makeup to be colorful and sparkly and fun. When it comes to base, I'm more concerned about having a flattering texture. I like things to be lighter coverage, easier on the skin. I'm almost 30, so I think my preferences are informed by that. But when it comes to eye makeup, which is really what excites me, which is my sort of bread and butter in makeup, you know, I'm more concerned about it being fun and sparkly rather than having the look that's most flattering on my eyes. I feel like this video got really dark. It sort of got dark as I was filming. I hope you can still see me. But yeah, just bear with me. I'm still like figuring out lighting and all the sort of technical aspects of having a YouTube channel. I have a lot more videos planned for you. I am on a no-buy right now, so I'm thinking about no-buy content, project pans, and other projects focused on rotating throughout my collection. I'm interested in BYOPs and duping the vibes of new palettes. Talking about consumerism and consumption, as well as just talking about makeup, swatching makeup, admiring makeup, putting on makeup. I'm just here for it. So I hope that you will stay tuned, like and subscribe if this sounds like stuff you're interested in, and I will see you very soon. Bye!